Hello guys, welcome to Online Web Tutor presented by Tech Solutions team. I am Sanjay. We are learning WordPress plugin development tutorial using Boilerplate, and this is our second part of this video session series in which we will discuss about folder structure and files. In the last video sessions guys, we had discussed about the Boilerplate introduction, about its features, as well as we had discussed that why we should actually use Boilerplate. Okay? And finally we had done about the installation part of Boilerplate. So guys, if you are a beginner to this channel, then please don't forget to subscribe and watch our previous video sessions to make the clear vision about plugin development, theme development, wizard development and many more about the playlists. Okay, so if you have remembered, then in the last video sessions we had installed a folder called OW2 boiler. Okay, and this is the folder boiler actually we had generated from the website called wppb.me. So if you have not generated so far this folder, don't worry about that. Just go to the website called wppb.me. Okay? You need to fill the basic information in this form like plugin name, plugin slug, plugin URI, author name, author email and author URI. After filling this form, simple form, if you click on build plugin, then it will generate a folder. Okay, and the folder will look something like this, which contains basically 4 folders called admin, includes, languages and public. Okay, so all the information actually you fill in this form, all the changes actually reflect back into the main plugin file, and these informations are right here, okay, in the form of comments. As we know that every section of comment is responsible to introduce our plugin in WordPress. Okay, so these informations are quite useful for us. Okay, so let's get started about the folder structure and the files that it contains. So basically it contains guys 4 different folders, okay, like admin, includes, languages and public. We will discuss about each of the folders of this plugin in great detail. Okay, so let's start the first file called owtboiler.php. Okay, this is the main entry of the plugin which contains the basic sets of information about our plugin. Okay, so just we need to discuss about this file first. Basically guys, this is the file which is main entry of our plugin, which contains the basic information of our plugin. After filling these informations from the website, we actually get all the informations after filling this form reflected back here. Okay, OWT boiler, this is the description section, like this is a short description of what the plugin does. This is description right below here. Okay, so if you change this introduction or something like that, this is my plugin introduction by. Okay, so I have changed the description of the plugin. So if we go and refresh this page, so this is the information that we have changed. Okay, and finally the version number, that is 1.0.1. okay, this is the version actually, here it is. Okay, so and this is the author by Online Web Tutor. This is the author information actually we had filled right here. Okay, so if you go to the plugin, so this is author URI, and this is GPL, means license provided by GPL, and license URI, and this is the text domain. Okay, so these all contains the basic sets of information, and so it is called main entry of the plugin. Okay, so just scroll back, and here a constant is defined when the plugin activates. First it finds the WP includes folder is defined within our WordPress setup or not. If the WP includes folder not found, that means WordPress setup has been distorted or broken. Okay, so in that specific condition it goes back from our WordPress setup, okay, or abort, as you can see. So now the next thing, that it defines a plugin version, means what plugin version actually we are working on. Right now it is 1.0.0. okay, so if you change this version, then you need to change this version also, because this is the comment section. Okay, so this is not the PHP code. If you change here, then it will automatically reflect it to here. Okay, so you need to change the version. If you change to this plugin, then you need to change here and here. Okay, so basically this parameter contains the plugin version. Okay, and now it contains the basic functions called activate boiler and deactivate OWT boiler. Okay, two functions we had seen, and finally run OWT boiler. Okay, so let's start about the plugin functions. So now instead of discussing about activate and deactivate, let's discuss first about the function called run OWT boiler. This function actually directly called inside this plugin, as you can see. So when this plugin runs, because as we know this is the plugin main entry file, when it runs, then this function actually calls. Okay, and this function is defined here. Within this function we had actually created instance of OWT boiler. Okay, and OWT boiler is a class. By the help of this instance we had called the run method of this class. Okay, so let's find out the OWT boiler class. Okay, so OWT boiler class basically comes from this file actually we had included within this file. Okay, and this is the plugin path, and inside that plugin within includes folder it contains a file called class-plugin-name-admin.php. Okay, just open up this file. So here is the includes folder, just click on that, and now the file is class-plugin-name-admin.php. just click on that. Okay, this is the file guys actually linked with our plugin main file. Okay, and now inside this class we had called the function method called run. Okay, so just go to this method, and now within this class actually we had defined the method called run. Okay, so let's find out that method first. Here is the run. Basically inside that method what we have done, we had this arrow operator loader arrow operator run method. Okay, we had called the loader run method. Okay, so let's find about the loader. So basically this arrow operator loader, this is the variable actually we had defined as a protected member of this class. So if you go to the top section, then we can find this is the loader. Okay, so we have actually reused this variable and reassigned the functionality of accessing a file, and here it is. Okay, so this loader actually contains, or you may say this is an instance created by OWT boiler loader map class. Okay, and this is the class actually included by the help of this file. Okay, so if you go to the exploring point, and now class OWT boiler.loader.php, this file actually used to create the instance of this class. Okay, so just go to this class and open up this file. So just open up the includes folder, and this is the file. Okay, just click on that. Once we click, we can see that this is the class actually we had included. Okay, OWT boiler loader. Okay, so now within inside this class actually what we have the actions and filters. Okay, basically this file contains the definition section of our action hooks or filter hooks. Okay, like by using action we can attach our files, add filter. So by using add filter and add actions guys, we actually implement our filter hooks and action hooks. Okay, so basically the loader class is responsible to include our action hooks and filter hooks with our plugin. Okay, so by the help of this loader actually we had included our action hooks and filter hooks. Okay, so now let's back to our main plugin file, and here it is. Okay, so we had seen about the great definition of this run method. Okay, so just scroll top, and now we can find we had included this file to use our run method. Okay, so now we need to discuss about this activation hook and deactivation hook. As we have remembered that in the last previous video sessions of plugin development series we had discussed about this register activation hook. Okay, so by using this hook actually this function will execute when the plugin activates. Means what are the functionalities that we want to run on plugin activation it will do. means if you want to create something like pages, if you want to append menus, if you want to create tables, so these all functions if you want to do at the plugin activation, then this registration activation hook actually will do. Okay, so now we need to find this function, and here it is, activate boiler OWT. Okay, so this is the function that we had included actually with this register activation hook. So what this actually will do, so now it has included a file called includes and class OWT boil activator.php. Okay, so let's close this file first, and now it has included a file. Just open up this file, and within includes folder, here is the file. Just click on that, and now by the help of this class, actually if we scroll down, then it contains a class called OWT boil activator. Okay, so by the help of this class, as you can see, we have called a static method called activate. Okay, so just open up this static method of this class. So this is the class that we have defined under boil activator. Just scroll down, and this is the activate static method. Okay, so by using scope resolution operator, this is scope resolution operator, we actually call the static method of a class. Okay, so by the help of this OWT boil activator, actually what the functionality we want on the plugin activation, we need to code inside that method. Okay, so in this inside method, actually the code will contains the section work on plugin activation. Okay, so what the functionality actually we want on plugin activation, all the code we need to do inside this activate method. Okay, so we had seen about this boil activate. Okay, and if you go to its documentation, then you will find that this code that runs during plugin activation. Okay, this is the hint that actually provided by the boilerplate. Okay, now the second activation hook, that is register deactivation hook, and this activation hook, guys, actually fires when we deactivate our plugin. So suppose if we want to delete our created dynamic tables, as well as we want to delete the pages section, we want to drop some values from database table, so at the deactivation hook we actually run this function. Okay, by running this function, actually we need to drop all the functionality that we want. Okay, so basically this, let's me close first. So basically this function contains a file called includes. Inside this includes folder, we have the class file called OWT boiler deactivator. So just open up this file, and here it is inside our includes folder. Here is the file. Just open up, and now inside this file, if we scroll down, and here is the class. Okay, OWT boiler deactivator. So this is the class that we have called inside this deactivate function. Okay, and now by the help of this class, we had called a static method called deactivate. Okay, and if you go to the hint section, then the code that runs during plugin deactivation. Okay, so let's open up this class and go to its static method called deactivate, and here it is. So this method actually contains code which runs on plugin deactivation. Okay, so how it is manageable to think about these files. Okay, so just close these files. So we have seen about the deactivate, activate, as well as we have seen that how can we load our dependencies or classes files. And now the next thing that we need to do, that open up our file called OWT boiler, because this is a file that we have included. If we have remembered, inside our main plugin file we have included this class. Okay, and now we have included this file also here to include that class, and here it is, class OWT boiler. So basically this file is responsible to load our run method. Okay, as well as if you go to this class file, then you can find several methods actually defined. Get plugin name, basically responsible to get the plugin name. Okay, by calling this method, actually we will get the plugin name. Also the loader, Okay, and now the version number. These all methods provide the basic sets of information about our plugin. Okay, so if you go to its constructor part, so just scroll top and here is the constructor part. Basically inside that class we had defined a constructor method, and by default this constructor method call automatically when we make any instance of that. So definitely we have made an instance of that. Okay, so while making this plugin instance actually we had called the construct method also. Okay, so inside that method what we have done, we did about the plugin name, we have initialized some of our global variables or some of the class level variables like version number and the plugin name. So these all variables we have defined inside this constructor method. Okay, and also we had included called load dependencies class methods. Okay, so if you go to the load dependencies method, then we will find that the several files actually we had included inside this method, like all the classes as you scroll back, then loaded, I18n, boiler, public. So these all files actually we had included admin, these all files we had included about our load dependencies. Okay, so now the next thing, that set local, admin hooks and public hooks. So let's start discussion about define admin hooks. So just go to this documentation or the definition section. So these are, so basically define admin hooks contains the definition section of our action hooks of admin part. Okay, means if you want to activate, means if you want to attach some of the our style sheets file, some of our JavaScript files, images files, then at that specific point we will use define admin hooks. Okay, and in that method we had called a class called OWT boiler admin. Okay, and this class actually came from the file. So just scroll here and here it is the file, class OWT boiler admin. So if you open up this file, admin, just go to inside your admin folder and now click on that, and now this class label actually contains, here is the class. Okay, we had included inside our define admin hooks, here it is. So this basically contains a constructor also, and here is the constructor which basically contains the plugin name and the version. Okay, so right calling in the class we had actually reused this class constructor, and we had passed the variable called plugin name and the plugin version which we are accessing right here. Okay, so inside this class we had a method called enqueued styles. Okay, and another method is called enqueued scripts. So by using these methods guys, enqueued scripts and enqueued styles, we had attached our styles feeds file and JavaScript files within our admin setup panel. So basically inside means basically the main role of this file class OWT boiler admin, basically it attaches our JavaScript files and stylesheets file within our administrator panel. Okay, so basically we have seen about the define admin hooks. The name of this method actually defines that it defines the action hooks and filter hooks for our administrator panel. So if we scroll back, then here another method called define public hooks. Basically it is also responsible to hooks up the stylesheets files and JavaScript files at the front end section for the user. Okay, means for the public section. So if we open up the folder structure and go inside our folder called public, then here is the file. Okay, so if we scroll down to this file, so this is the class actually we had included right here. Okay, so just close this file, and this is the file, means this is the class OWT boiler public which we had called. Okay, so basically this class also contains a constructor which takes the name, plugin name and the version number, and it also contains two methods called enqueued styles and enqueued scripts. But the main difference between public and admin is that the public section contains or attaches our all stylesheets files and JavaScript files right for the users, but the admin part contains all the definition section for the administrator panel, This is the key point that you need to keep in your mind. Okay, so now we had discussed about define admin hooks and run method. So all the methods we had seen in detail. So just go to its constructor part again. So now we had discussed each of this functionality of this constructor method. So now we can have a documentation that I have made actually for the documentation purpose of this boilerplate. So just go to its documentation section. So before going that, if you open up the folder structure once more, so just actually close all the tabs, and now we can see inside this boilerplate we have a main plugin file, okay, which contains, as we have seen, about the activation hook, register activation hook, and also we have loaded our class files. Okay, and now inside that folder which contains admins, includes languages and public folder. Basically the name suggests us that the admin section contains all of our style sheets file, JS files, and the views files. All we have to make our views files inside this partial folder. Okay, we will see in our later video sessions. So now this is the plugin admin file, which basically responsible to hooking up the CSS file and JS files as we have discussed. Okay, now the partial folders contains the display part. Okay, and now by default this CSS section contains a OAWT boiler admin.css. This is the basic file that actually the default folder structure generates. Okay, and now this is the JS file. So basically the name suggests us that this is the section actually contains all about the functionality of administrator panel. Okay, and now this public folder contains all of the informations about our front end section. Okay, now in our upcoming videos we will see, when we go to its deeper section, then we will discuss about this languages folder. And now inside this includes folder we had seen about the definition section of each class, like activator, which basically responsible what are the functionalities that we want to execute on plugin activates, then those definitions contained by this class file. Okay, and now on plugin deactivation, what are the functionalities that actually we want to do, the definition section contained by deactivator class. Okay, and now this is the file, this is the main file inside this includes folder which contains the definition of all these files. Okay, so just open up this file once more, scroll back, then this is the load dependencies, a method called, and load dependencies method includes all of our REST files. As you can see, all of our REST files. So basically this method is responsible to loading all of our class files. Okay, and now in our upcoming videos we will discuss about this file also. So guys, I think I have made much clear concept about the folder structure. Okay, so this is the documentation section guys that I have made on the basis of what we have seen, like admin section, public, languages. We will discuss about this folder later on video session. And now includes folder, this includes folder contain 5 starting classes files. Okay, so now if we scroll down, so these are the included classes that we have discussed, like activator, deactivator, IU18N, loader, and the class plugin name. Okay, class plugin name.php file indicates the name of this plugin. Okay, class plugin name.php. So I have made the description or documentation section what we have seen so far. So I will drop these all definition section in the description of this video. Please find there. Okay, and now if you remember guys that what we have seen in our previous video sessions of plugin development series, so all this functionality we actually defined on this plugin name file. Means on the single page we did all the functionality, means what actually activator method we will do, or the deactivator functionality. Here it is, all the views files, here is deactivator. Okay, so all the functionality we had seen into a single page. Okay, so now if we go to the boilerplate folder structure, then we have seen that the different classes files actually will do the different functionality. So basically the boilerplate has the great folder structure, or you can say that well made documentation section also. Means what this plugin file actually responsible for, the hint section will introduce you. Okay, so basically this boilerplate well organized, well structured, and well documented too. Okay, but in our previous video sessions we have seen that how can we make our plugin in great detail. So we had made several functionality within this main plugin file. Okay, by using this same concept we will read all this functionality with boilerplate. Folder structures should change, plugin names should change, but the functionality or the concepts that actually we had to do with this plugin remain same. Okay, so only we need to keep in mind that all the functionality, all the concepts that we had studied about this plugin will remain same in this case. Only we had to discuss about its folder structure and about the hooking those functions with that methods. Okay guys, so I think I have made much more clear concept about its plugin, folder structure and files. So if you have any query in this video session guys, then please drop the comment. I will give my reply as soon as possible. So for this video session guys, thank you for watching. Have a great day.